Loguetown, finally the last island of the Eastwood saga, and it's a very important one to the story of the One Piece. Actually, the first frame that we saw when watching One Piece for the first time was in this island where the king of the pirates was executed while telling that his treasure was called the One Piece and that everyone could find it, and the one who does will become the new pirate king. In this world there are multiple oceans. We have the East Blue, our current location, then there is also the North, West and South Blue, not really that relevant to the story, and then we have two more oceans that are a lot more dangerous. First we have the Grand Line, our next stop after this island, and then we have the new world where the One Piece is. To enter the Grand Line there is only a single passage, a small river really close to this island, and that river, or that area called the Reverse Mountain, it's a special place that you will see later in this video. But the thing is, every pirate like us that wants to go to the Grand Line by going to the Reverse Mountain needs to stop on this island to get resources for their travel. This is like the last stop, and that's why this island is the perfect strategic place for the government to catch all of the pirates. So this island is controlled by the government, or I should say the Marines, basically the cops of this world. As you could probably imagine, this is also a huge city. Alright, not in Minecraft, it's not big, but it should be a massive city. So I left the Arlong Park, the island from the last video where we cooked some shark, and went to find Loguetown before adventuring to the new ocean. And after some time traveling, I could start to see one island with civilization. The first thing that I look when I reach a new island is for a reference compared to the anime. The first reference that I found is obviously the execution platform where the Pirate King was killed while broadcasting to the whole world. Also, this is the place where Luffy started to be compared to Roger. Like we defeated Alvida and Buggy on a previous video, then in this place they tried to take revenge on Luffy by also executing him in this place, and then instead of being scared of dying, Bro just smiled like he's a madman. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of reference, like this city has some docks and a lighthouse where the ships can stop to fill up with resources. There is also what it looks like a church, looks cool but I don't remember that from the story, and then a town hall that also doesn't make any sense whatsoever to exist because it was supposed to be a marine's base, the center of the city. If you explore this city there will be a lot of decorations including coffees, gardens and some market shops that make sense to exist because this is a city after all. I actually got quite sad that they did not make the arms shop a place where in the story Zoro bought a new sword and made one of the most insane clips of all time by throwing a cursed sword to the air to see if it cut his arm or not, and it's how it shows that weapon. And then unfortunately they did not build a single shop that existed in the story. If you go to the wiki you could see all the random relevant places like the fish market or the hotel, or even a bar called Goldie Roger where the pirates have some drinks, including the king of the pirates itself in the past. But instead they made a church and a town hall that does not make any sense. So this place is obviously full of marines that we can kill to get some resources to fight the boss of this island. Then there is a single mini-boss, Tashigi, a marine officer that loves swords in the anime. She even told that their biggest dream was to get all of the relevant or special swords in this world, that I will explain those in a future video. Also, this is a map of all the mini-bosses that I found in this island, and as always, hope it helps. And then, once you get all of the resources needed, you can fight the boss of this island, Smoker, the captain of the marines of this island. He actually has some powers of a devil fruit. He can transform itself into smoke. He got some interesting moves here, but once he is defeated there is not much more things that we can do in this island. We also have a collection to make that I will show you on this image. In my opinion it's not really hard to complete, probably the hardest is to get the full marine armor that looks actually quite decent. And basically because this island was not that big, I made all of the missions in a small period of time. And it's finished, we just made everything we could on this island, and now it's finally time to go to a new ocean called the Grand Line. And for that we need to go through the Reverse Mountain that I talked in the beginning of the video. And yes, this is a river that flows upside down. When I saw this for the first time years ago in the anime, I didn't know how to react because this was so freaking cool. To go through this part you need to be careful. I love the fact that it worked going upstream in Minecraft, amazing job from the developers, but once we cross this mountain you could even check that the ocean changes color, meaning that we finally reached a new ocean, the Grand Line, where we will find better, cooler, but a lot harder islands to explore. Unfortunately, at the end of of this passage, we should find a huge whale called Laboon. Really important to the story, but there was nothing. So sad, I was so sad. At least they made the lighthouse where Crocus left the doctor that was on board of the ship from the Pirate King. So after traveling a little more in this new ocean, we reached our first island that I will explore in the next video. Because we finished the exploration for today, I should update you of my projects in my private island, but before that, and like in every video, someone wants to appear and make something funny. This time this guy wanted to show me some Cannon Devil Fruit attacks, including some that have some questionable placements of the animation, and others that don't make any sense to exist in this universe, but it's cool animations, I guess. So in my island I have been doing some farms with my goons, because there is something called jobs that are like XP player levels, that the higher the better stats we get. This is also a great way of getting money. The max level for jobs is like 200, basically hours and hours of pure farming, but once it's done, it's done. So I have been studying a lot of types of farms that give the max amount of XP in the smallest amount of time. We also made a layer for each crop just to feed the minions, and to also make some missions this week. There is not much more news to tell you. So I think that's all for today. I hope you enjoy. We are getting an average of 400 views and 20 likes per video, pretty decent for such a specific niche like One Piece. It's really fun to play, and I see you in the next week, guys, so see ya and bye!